This is The Gauge with host Chance Conradu.
Are you freaking serious? It's Conrado. This is The Gauge, and I am Chance Conrado. On this episode of the podcast, we have got the great, the wonderful Jackie Crawford. She is a 19-time women's professional rodeo champion. You guys all know who she is. She is well known for her breakaway, for her horse training. She has rode a lot of great horses. She's a lot of fun. She just announced that she was pregnant, so she was a little bummed out that she couldn't sit and have a drink with us because, you know, that's what we do around here. But regardless, we had a great conversation. She's a lot of fun. Check it out.
Cool.
What?
Just go.
What do you mean, just go?
I'm telling you to go.
Well, I'm so thankful that you were telling me to go when I was already talking, Ty.
Well, you start talking. What do you expect me to do?
Can a guy breathe?
No.
Stop interjecting. See, this is what happened. So we did another podcast earlier today, and he kind of had to put his 2 cents in, and she's like, gets talking, doesn't want to stop. But it's funny, right before we started rolling, you're like, you know I'm pregnant, right? And then you said the COVID got me.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Do you normally tell people that? Oh, what?
The COVID got me?
Yeah, I just...
Lockdown
got you pregnant. So that's good. Okay, you confirmed. Because I was like, what do you mean the COVID got you? It took me a minute to figure out what you were talking about.
Yeah, quarantine got me. You know, rodeo families, if you have 2 of them, it's kind of, you don't stay together a whole lot. It's kind of pass and go. So
that it is.
Lockdown, you know, yeah.
So caught you in passing. Next thing you know, you're pregnant. Well, that sounds worse and worse the more we talk about it.
I know. I know.
Well, how long have you been pregnant?
3 months.
3 months?
A little over 3 months, yeah. Yeah.
About to hit the halfway mark?
Yeah, so end of March it's due.
That's like right when coronavirus started. It's like there'll be an anniversary. Man, I sure hope there's still a country left that far
right?
out. I don't think we can plan anything.
I
Isn't
don't
it
even
crazy?
Want to think about that. It's so nuts.
Like, well, I mean, you're probably getting used to a whole bunch of stuff now with breakaway being in pro rodeo and all that. Like pro comp, for instance, I'm sure that was like a rude wake up call. But this whole the whole coronavirus and the way it's affected rodeo. I mean, yesterday they announced the NFR was coming to Arlington. I mean, that's crazy in itself. I mean, what do you think about all that?
I mean, obviously, when you think of the NFR, you think of Vegas, but at least we're getting to have it. I mean, we were worried about the fact of, are they even going to have it? You know, Charlie, this will be his 10th time making the NFR, and we were just like, what are we going to do if they don't even have it? You know, so I am very grateful that they hustled and made it work, and I think it is going to be good in Texas, and it's kind of a change, and it'll be something different. Like he said, you know, look at the positive. He's going to be one of the only 15 headers that ever gets to rope in that stadium, you know, probably more than likely. And so trying to look at the positives of it, and there is a lot of good of it, and we'll change it up a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were, what was it yesterday? Because we had Las Vegas events in here. As soon as they did the press conference, Las Vegas events was in here to kind of elaborate on the whole thing. And I guess it's going to be the first sporting event in that stadium that has fans since they've created it. So that's actually pretty cool.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so rodeo is going to be the first event in that stadium that will actually have fans. I mean, that's a big deal for our sport.
Yeah, that is. That's actually really cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I will say that there's a lot of people complaining about it.
Which is just crazy to me. I mean, it's just so nuts to me that you would have negative things to say about it. It's like, man, everybody's trying to make it work like you can. You know what I mean? They're trying to do the best they can. And I mean, the best that they can do on this, and you even looking at it as a negative, it's still pretty dang good. It's not like it's a real negative. I mean, yeah, it's a different place, and it's going to be something different one year, you know, but I think it's going to be a good experience. And even for people that maybe have never gone to Vegas, they might come to the NFR in Arlington, you know. So I don't fathom the griping about stuff when you know, if you're a rational thinker, that everybody has worked their butts off to make that happen. And so to gripe about it, I'm like, man, that's kind of a slap in the face.
Isn't it?
Know?
Yeah. I mean, to the whole industry. Could you imagine being the PRCA and be like, oh, holy hell, we just pulled it off. And then there's hundreds and hundreds of people on Facebook saying, this is bullshit. It's like, you guys don't even understand what they've had to do to make this happen.
Yeah. And I just think it's, you know, like I say, just anybody who's kind of a rational thinker would know that people just turned stones upside down to make this happen. And that's everything, though. You're always going to have that. That's part of social media, I think, is you're always going to have people like that.
I mean, don't you think that all the problems we kind of have in the world right now might probably be because of social media. I mean, it really seems like it, doesn't it?
I think they're very amplified because of social media.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
it's crazy. Even if you just look at the way that like the politics are going right now, because the guy we had on the show earlier this morning, he was a 25-year Secret Service veteran. He had served with 4 different sitting presidents, 2 Democrat, 2 Republicans. And yeah, I mean, you think social media is kind of the reason we're in this situation.
I mean, I can see that in social media, and I don't think any of us are very trusting of the news stations right now, and so I mean, I know that kind of ties in a little bit, but everything is so monitored, and you see what they want you to see, and you see what is let to be seen, and just it's crazy to me how much influence it can have on people.
Yeah, and it's funny because it wasn't really a thing in our industry until like the last few years, right? And now we're seeing it in our industry, right? It's just crazy the effect it has. But for a virus or a sickness or whatever this is, to shut down rodeo, like something that's never stopped.
I know.
It's insane.
It's so insane.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it like on every podcast because like you just do. But there's like just from March to April to May, it's just like, no, there'll be a Cheyenne. No, there'll be a Pendleton. Right? And then it's insane.
Actually happens. They actually shut it down. And like, I'm with you. I did not think that you could do that or that it would happen or, anything. And then it's happening over and over and over again. It's like,
it's crazy.
What is going on here,
Well, and the weird thing is like all the things that got shut down, right? Like the mask mandate, you name whatever it is. It's like people are like, okay, go ahead. Whatever you guys want to do, just shut it all down. Like you're not even really getting any argument from anybody.
And it's like, for me, it's like, where do you start? Like, what do you do? Where do you start this argument at? Like, who's actually in charge here? Like, who's making this? And so, to me, it's like you want to, but it's like, what do you do? Where do you go?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's just so crazy that
it's probably going to get crazier too in the next few months.
I hate to think of that. I hate to think it's going to, but hopefully after November, it'll be a little bit better, but I don't know if it will or not.
I don't know. Yeah, I will tell you, the guy we had in here, he made me feel like there's no hope left in the world.
Oh, no.
Hey, I won't tell you.
Oh, no. And here I'm bringing another child into this.
Wow.
Great. Thanks for that.
I was not being thoughtful when I just told you that.
Damn it, Chance.
I know. It's funny, though. Okay, let's talk about happy stuff, rodeo.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an NFR. That's great. It sounds like the round money is going to be pretty dang close. Ticket holders are going to get their, or season ticket holders are going to get their seats or something that resembles their seats.
Yeah.
Ticket prices have been announced. Like, it's a go. It's going to be cool. Cowboy Christmas is happening downtown.
Yeah.
It's on. Junior finals. It's all happening. So I think we can all take a collective side that there's going to be an NFR. So.
And something else cool is just like my rope and the rope for the crown, we've moved everything to Glen Rose.
Right.
So in a bunch of places I know have been rented out for all the things that went on along with the NFR. And so everything to be able to be within, an hour, which by the time you drive across Vegas, it's almost the same thing. But to be within an hour of each other people are making it work.
They're making it work. Yeah. I guess the only issue they're probably going to have is hotels, but yeah, I mean, have they said anything about World Series team roping?
Not that I've heard. The last I heard, it's still in Vegas.
Is it?
Yeah,
Just
that's the last I heard. Was it still at the South Point? But I could be totally mistaken on that too.
Yeah, we were trying to talk to Ty Yost about that, but they're so busy they haven't been able to get to it. But who knows? I mean, I guess it would make sense for them to still do that in Vegas, right? Because I mean, you could probably get away with a fanless event for just a team roping, and it would be okay.
Yeah, I think so, and I think it'll be a lot smaller, obviously, this year. But I mean, I know a couple people that are still planning on, like, as soon as they get done with their ropings, like even my rope and a couple of the girls, they're planning on flying out that Saturday night to rope in the roping out there Sunday. So,
right.
I mean, I think it's still going to be a good roping, but it's just going to be a lot different.
Yeah, I mean, just like everything. I think that's maybe the thing people didn't realize about why they didn't go with Vegas is the option to do it in Vegas was for it to be a fanless rodeo.
Yeah. And how do you make that work?
You don't when your revenue's from the ticket sales, and from Cowboy Christmas.
Yeah, it's not like anybody just chose to take it away from Vegas. Like I think they exhausted every avenue they could to try to have it there and just can't have it.
Right. I mean, but could you imagine if they took it back to Oklahoma City or if it went to the Lazy or something like that? Wouldn't make sense for the NFR. It's not big enough. It's not grand enough.
Yeah. I think this will be something exciting and like I say, nobody's ever the first fans, everything is a new stadium. I mean, it's going to be pretty exciting.
I think so. Yeah. It's interesting, which kind of leads me to the next thing. Like, how's the adjustment period been for you? I mean, you might be the most prominent female breakaway roper going, but adjusting to pro comp and just the new way of doing things.
Oh, I feel so dumb. I feel so dumb every time I call in there. I know those people are like, oh my God, another breakaway roper, because we just don't understand it yet. But I mean, we're trying to get in the groove of it, and I feel terrible. And the first thing I say to like all the rodeo secretaries when I go up to ask a question that I'm sure is really dumb and you should already know these things, is the first thing I say, I'm sorry. I know I'm ignorant to this, but what are the rules on this? Especially when I go flying in there to some rodeo and I'm like in a hurry because I got to pay my fees, before I rope. And they're like, you don't have to pay your fees before you rope in the PRC. And I was like, oh, okay, never mind. That was dumb. I just tried to kill myself getting up here. But, you're just so used to just what we've done for the last 20, however many years, 50 years,
right.
Who knows? But yeah, it's just a lot different. But I mean, we're starting to get the hang of it, and hopefully we're not being too big of a pain in the butt for everyone.
Well, I mean, it's not like pro comp is easy. So, I mean, you just call them over and over and over and over, sit on hold.
Yeah.
You'd think that they come up with a better system. I'm sure they will eventually, but it's interesting, right? But I mean, it's great because not to like be a chest beater for women's rodeo or anything, but it's amazing that there's finally, I've been talking about adding breakaway for so long, and it's finally time. It's so great for the growth of the sport as a whole, and to have another outlet for women in rodeo, and for there to be an all around for women in rodeo like this, it's badass.
Oh, I think like you said, it's been a long time coming, and it took someone. You can't fight. If you go back and look at the numbers, the breakaway ropers, it's not like we just started the last few years when they said, oh, we're going to have breakaway. All these girls have been here. They've been working at it. They've been doing this. Now, a lot of them might have quit earlier because there wasn't a big end game where they're starting to be now. But if you go back in junior rodeo, high school rodeo, college rodeo, breakaway is one of the biggest events. And especially now it's getting even bigger, and so it is one of the biggest events, like for sure. But it always has been, even when I was college rodeo, before all this even came about. And so it's just that it just took one person or one body to just crack the door open, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, holy smokes, like this could be huge, And so that's where I'm so thankful, like for the WCRA, because they were the first ones that just jumped off and said, you know what, you're a full event. We're going to have you're equal with everybody else, and threw us in. And, the Windy City at Chicago, we got to win $50,000 just like everybody else. And then came the American, and, and then just the ball started rolling. It was like everybody kind of realized, whoa, the numbers are there. This is fun to watch, and it brings another women's event to the sport of rodeo.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, when someone goes out and ropes a 1.8 or a 1.9 and whoever's on the microphone, and I mean, people get excited because it's just a quick event, and you don't have any of the moral issues with it like you do with like tie down or something. Right. So from a growth standpoint, if you just think about it from the growth of rodeo and you don't worry about the rest, it's the perfect addition, right? It's the perfect sport to help, or the perfect event to help grow the sport, because it's kind of missing all the elements that your average human has issues with rodeo.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
That's the problem sometimes with rodeos. You can't get your layman, townie, as I call him, person to get too excited about it. But you can with things like barrels and breakaway and the rough stock stuff. But
well, yeah, and I think everybody always enjoys watching a girl like do something comparable to the guys. Now, would it be as fun watching if we tried to get off and tie the calf down? No, obviously you have some athletic differences between men and women, but to be like...
You can't say that.
Well, I mean, we can be realistic here. So
we can, yeah. Everybody else apparently not.
Yeah, well, it's the truth. I've watched it. I've been a tie down roper. I get it. I know there's differences. And so, but as far as riding and roping, like it's pretty neat to compare what the girls do with, compared to the guys in the calf roping. You see girls that can throw it so far and so fast, and so to be able to compare to the guys that are throwing fast, it is fun. And I think everybody likes seeing girls do sporty things. And so
I think so. I mean, that's been the thing with rodeo aside from barrel racing, and then barrel racing and the WPRA had their own trials and tribulations to get equal money, do all those things they had to do. But it's definitely been a segregated sport in that regard for a long time.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it really has.
The more women in any sport like that, the better. I mean, you see like something like the UFC, which we reference on the show all the time because it's it's kind of a good reference because it was a young sport. Now it's massive. When they introduced women to that sport, it blew it up like crazy. Like what was Ronda Rousey when she came on? Holy crap. Like,
that's when I started watching the UFC.
It changed everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. And
some of your biggest rodeo stars, if not your biggest rodeo stars, are women. You know?
I agree. Yeah.
It's important. And the WPRA's partnership with the PRCA and the way the rodeos work, it's pretty awesome. But the WCRA will forever get that credit. You're right.
Oh, yeah. They were the first ones to not only be like, oh, you can be a part of it.
Right.
You know, in some way. They said, no, you're in.
Right.
And it showed that it went over so well. And so I'll always give that credit to them. So.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. I think that people don't, you know, when you think about it, it's not just bringing breakaway ropers into the industry and into the, you know, WPRA or PRCA or whatever. It's, you know, take our family, for instance. Charlie will buy his card more years if we can go as a family than he would if, okay, I got to stay down here in rodeo in Texas and then he'd have to go over here. We're not going to do that many years, but he's going to buy his card more years to do that. And think about the people that stay here, you know, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend that stay in amateur rodeo in Texas. Well, if both of them can go, you're getting 2 more cards bought. You know, so you're not only just bringing in breakaway card members and doing that side, you're bringing in more into every event by adding the breakaway. So I think it's a no-brainer as long as we can figure out how to make it all work and convince all the right people.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to be all that hard. I mean, it was wildly successful with the WCRA. It went down without a hitch at the American this past year. I mean, it was enjoyable. I didn't love the setup of the whole thing. You guys were so far in that corner, but it worked.
Yeah.
And they put it together right, and I'm sure it's here to stay.
I really hope so. I think the girls have done a great job of representing themselves and being professional and fitting right in. So I really hope it is.
I definitely think so. As long as you guys don't get too many knockdown dragouts with barrel racers in the practice pin, you'll be all right.
Oh, Lord. Let me tell you something. Yeah. That's that's funny. You say that.
Go ahead. Tell the story.
No. Oh, gosh.
No. You don't have to
just
say names, but I've heard some stories.
Yeah.
So
I
let's
mean,
hear it from you.
We joke because, well, I'm good friends or have gotten to be good friends. I love watching barrel racing. I will say that. I love watching barrel racing. I love watching good horses. I love girls that are great hands. And I've gotten to be good friends with like Haley Kinsel and Ivy Conrad. They're kind of, you know.
Ivy Conrad was my sister.
I love them. So anyways, so we kind of joke amongst each other, but you know, we joked that we said, you know, we figured the first fight, and Kelsey Chase actually put it on her Facebook page. We said the first fight between the barrel racers and the breakaway ropers, we figured would be somebody sleeping with somebody's boyfriend or husband or something. And so lo and behold, the first fight that came out on social media had to do with something in the warm-up pen, which come to find out a lot of the barrel racers that I have a lot of respect for and handy, they're like, it didn't have a dang thing to do with a breakaway roper, you know, and it just blew up on Facebook, and people were like, they're just, you know, what they say, we're entitled teenagers,
something like entitled teenagers, and
yeah,
I think I talked to Ivy, I might have even talked to Haley about it, but Ivy's the one who pointed it out to me, and it was like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, we found humor in it because when the story finally came out, and the barrel racers that were there, most of them, the sensible, they were like, it didn't have a dang thing to do with a breakaway roper. And it's just like, you just take it in stride because you know it's coming. I mean, you know this is coming. There's going to be way more than this. And, you know, one of them said, it's been like that for years at the UPRA rodeos and all this stuff. And I'm like, I haven't watched a barrel racer at a UPRA rodeo. No offense. I love it. I do love watching the barrel race. I'm not saying that. But I'm thinking, when are the barrel racers and the breakaway ropers like in at these? I'm trying to think to myself, I'm like, we are like second or third event, and they're at the last. Like, I'm gone before the barrel race ever starts at these rodeos, so I don't even know where it can come about. But you know, anything that is new and happening, you're going to have your Facebook trolls that pop out. And
we've come full circle on the social media thing.
Oh, God, here it comes again. Yeah. Yep. Sometimes I wish that I didn't have social media, even though it's such a good thing in so many ways. Sometimes I wish I didn't have social media because I end up disliking someone because of their social media persona. But I would actually like them in person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I find myself not liking them in person because of the way they act on social media and the things that they say.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I don't want to do that because in person, it's like, I like you. You're a nice person when I see you and whatever. But some of the things I'm like, I want to be ignorant to the ignorance is kind of what I think in my mind. But it's almost a must with our industry and everything that we want to do. You almost have to be on it, but then you're not ignorant to the ignorance anymore.
No, exactly. But you're so right, because it's like I could think of like 10 people right now that I see what they put on social media, and I'm like, oh my God, I could never talk to you. And then I meet them somewhere. I'm not going to say who, but I met somebody, just recently, and I was like, oh my God, you're the greatest thing ever. I unfollowed you on Instagram. Let me fix that.
I know, right? I know, it's crazy, and it's just so weird how there can be two totally different personalities, but
it's the other way.
And then some people aren't. Some people aren't. Some people you get exactly what you see on social media, but yeah.
It's definitely the other way around too. I mean, there's some people that I really, really liked on social media. Then I met them, and I was like, "You really creep me out."
You're really weird.
It's like sometimes you get weird people in rodeo from all the homeschooling. I don't really know, but sometimes there's some weird people in rodeo.
It's true.
It is true. It's just like, and I'm trying to wonder, is it the lack of socialization or the fact that, I mean, most of us, luckily, I wasn't homeschooled, because I always thought homeschool would be a thing that you would miss out on a lot. Were you homeschooled?
No.
No. Did you go to a big school or medium-sized school?
Medium-sized, yeah. It was, I think, I don't even remember what we were. Is it 4A? Were we 4A? I think
4A's that's pretty good size.
Yeah, it was decent size.
Yeah. So you had like
Sallisaw,
a normal...
Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you had like a normal middle school, high school type of experience.
Yeah.
Just rodeoed in the summer, did other things during the year?
Sports, basketball, softball, the whole thing, yeah.
So you weren't one of those kids who like didn't really go to school and just focused on rodeo year round?
No. I wasn't even really into rodeo. I didn't even start roping until I was, I think I dabbled with it at the end of middle school, because when we moved to Oklahoma, I moved to Oklahoma from Illinois, and so there wasn't a whole lot of that up there. We did speed events. I mean, we did flag race and barrel race and pole bending, all the county fair type stuff. And when I went to Oklahoma, I was like, 11 or 12, something like that. And they had junior rodeos, and all these people were roping and stuff. And I was like, I want to do that. And all I had was a barrel horse. And so I kind of turned this ratty barrel horse into a breakaway horse, and she ended up being really nice. And so I really didn't rodeo until like I was really in high school. I didn't even get to go to high school rodeos my freshman year. I got to go. My sophomore year was the first year that I was able to high school rodeo.
Sure.
But I was pretty ignorant. I was like I don't know. I was kind of a misfit, because I hadn't grown up in that setting. Even though my parents rodeoed and I was from a rodeo family, it was just different than going there. And so I had a friend that's all he was rodeo. He loved rodeo. He could tell you the stats. He could tell you the NFR stuff. And sometimes he would just look at me and be like, do you even rodeo? Because he would say stuff and I'm like, who's that? And he's like, he would just roll his eyes. He just thought it was ridiculous. But, so I don't even know where we were going with this.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're drinking water. So
I know. And I
you.
still got off topic. What the heck?
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
But I was asking you kind of about if you were like a big time rodeo kid, essentially.
Yeah. So
short answer, no.
So no. Yeah. I got off on all sorts of stuff, but yeah. No, I liked sports. I really, honestly, I thought I was going to go play basketball is what I wanted to do.
Really?
In college, yeah. Blew my knee out and realized I wasn't fast enough and I couldn't jump high enough, and it really, it was kind of a dream that wasn't going to happen, but
so it was like
the rodeo was catching on, and I was good, and starting to get
kind of like a Woody Harrelson movie.
Yeah.
Except for a female.
Yeah. So, I kind of focused on rodeo. That's where I went.
Yeah, and so you kind of made your big decision, but back when you were in college and everything like that, I mean, why not barrel racing? Why not do the traditional,
I feel like I outgrew it physically and mentally at a young age. I don't know. I honestly, I love barrel racing, and I did barrel race a little bit, and I did a lot, obviously, before I started roping. I just think that the roping just became more natural for me.
Sure.
It was just kind of, I was always into sports, and so I was always kind of tomboyish, and so I wanted to do kind of what the boys were. I just thought it was cool, and I thought it was really neat, and I thought it was neat the girls that could rope good, and it just kind of stuck with me, and I could just, obviously the barrel racing was not the way that things were being laid out and kind of working out. So
yeah, I mean, I gotta wonder though, for somebody like you, what do you have, 19 or so? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. And it's a different skill than obviously like looking at the barrel racers, because they have such a high skill to go to. It's a different platform, but I mean, I'm not going to discredit, those titles. It's just, It is a lot, and I think it's obviously what I was supposed to do.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you that I don't have this secret little ambition to, like, you know, go on a diet and become a barrel racer. You know, I'll get a horse in that's got like a little bit of running blood in it, and I'm like, oh, I should start this one around the barrels. And I'm like, no, that's silly. You can't even come close.
I mean, it's got to be hard not to, right? When you see like the success of the people you just mentioned, my sister Haley, it's just like, oh, that sounds kind of cool.
Oh man. Oh, I love watching those girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so talented and just it's awesome.
It's a crazy field of barrel racers right now.
And honestly, I envy those girls, and I envy those girls because they get to go run in that little arena in Las Vegas, and it's just like you get to feel that, you know. And so, that's kind of what excites me about the breakaway, I guess, seeing where it's going, because I never, you know, I had a passion for it, but I never really thought it'd go as far as it has now.
Right.
And to get to experience some of the things, just like I sat in the stands at the American for the first 2 years and watched my husband, and you know, just thinking, gosh.
That'd
so
be great.
awesome down here. You know, you're just a competitor and you want to do it, and you see these girls go in and run barrels, and it's like, man, that feeling, you know. And so to see where the breakaway's going, it kind of like revives you, and it's like, hey, we might get to have that feeling. You know, I got to have that feeling twice at the American.
Right.
And so that I only watched from the stands. And so just the fact of, like, I went and helped Trevor Brazil at the NFR, I can't even remember when. It was the first year he won the Triple Crown. Mm-hmm. And so I got to go in the tunnel and keep the horses and things right before he would rope and ride them down all the way to the back of the chutes, you know, and everything. And just this is so weird because I'm like, here's this girl that wants to rope so bad at a place like this, and just feel that atmosphere. Even if it was to run barrels in it, just to feel that atmosphere, because the atmosphere in that place is unbelievable. And I don't think people understand it.
Even in the stands, it's crazy.
Yeah,
even if you walk in at the 5 a.m., right? Like, it's a special place.
It is. It's so special. And I would get right up to the back of those boxes, and then he'd jump on, and I would sit on the chutes or the panels right there, because you know it's all made, and you could just feel like those panels would shake every time a horse leaves that box. And it's just like, gosh, I just want to run one. Like, I just want to one calf or one anything in that arena, you know? And so I think that's what's exciting me so much, is that where the breakaway's going, and if it ever could go there, that would be my actual chance to feel that feeling.
I feel like the struggle would be is they've had that process dialed in so perfectly for so long for the event. I mean, if you go to the NFR, you're in and out long enough to grab 2 of the $20 beers and you're out, or 12. Yeah. I probably called them $12 beers before, but I mean, you're in, you're out, and it's so efficient. It's not like what you see on TV if you've never been. I mean, and then, God, if there's ever going to be a time to do it, it's now that CBS Sports is no longer broadcasting at the Cowboy Channel. It's like they could fit in something else and make an adjustment, especially with this year. It's like they're going to reset in 2021, and I mean, that would be the perfect time to do it.
We're talking 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like that at the max. You know, at 10 minutes, I think it would max it out to have a whole nother event and it's not just what it would do there, it's what it would do to rodeo throughout the entire year. You know,
right?
I think it would.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you look at it from like a business standpoint, with Las Vegas and with the PRCA, I think they fill like 70%. That's like what they fill at another event. Maybe you get up to 90%. I don't know. I mean, I'm a monkey, but that maybe that's what it takes. I mean, if you have 15 more people with their family, their friends, 17,000 in the stadium, more viewers for breakaway. I mean, maybe that's how you get your ticket sales up to just that next level.
Well, yeah, and
the other event.
Do you know the entourage that women bring? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You not only just their friends and family alone. I mean, everybody loves to go watch that, and so I think that it would, no doubt in my mind. But I'm on this side of it too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course, you've kind of dedicated your entire life to, 2 seconds at most of roping a calf. And so to see it get to the pinnacle of where it should be, just like all the other events at rodeo, I mean, I think you'd be crazy not to want that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's kind of my, I would do a lot of things to get to run one in that little arena.
Guys, it's not audio only. The Gauge is on YouTube. Every single episode's on YouTube. We got 4K cameras, the best stuff. Check it out on YouTube if you want to see faces. Bright, smiling faces. We don't just use this lighting for nothing. We video it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell. Lots of people are watching the videos, but not a lot of people are subscribing. Please help me. Help us. Help the Gauge. Subscribe on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's funny though that you mentioned like you do train a lot of horses and you do ride a lot of horses for a lot of big time cowboys, which is kind of a whole nother thing that you do. But I mean, how did you get into that aspect of kind of your business, your career?
I think that growing up, my mom did a lot of stuff with just the horsemanship side of it. But when I moved to Abilene and worked for Larry D and then got to go ride with Trevor a bunch, like that's where I got to understand like, okay, this is the type of horses I want to ride. This is the type of brokenness I want. This is this. And so just throughout making a lot of connections and doing that stuff and then getting to, I was a girl at the time that tie down roped, and I could take those horses and put them on a much smaller level and season them to where those guys could then step on them and they could go and they were seasoned, but in an easier manner. It's hard for a open guy to go season a horse somewhere. You know?
I mean, there's no time.
Yeah, and no time, and where they go, I mean, it's all out. I could go rope a slower calf and be, kind of make things a little easier on them for them to get their confidence up, and then they would just transition straight in that. So a lot of that came, and then the team roping side, just making contacts throughout the way. And so I got, for a while, from like 2011 to 2015-ish, I rode a lot of outside horses, and so and I enjoyed it. It was a way of making a living, though, And
well, anybody who's ridden outside horses for money knows how brutal that life is.
Yeah. And the good ones are good. The people that know, they know. But when someone brings you one and it's like, this horse is not broke and this horse is not whatever, and they want them to be hauling in 30 days, they just don't. It's not that the people are bad. They just don't understand. Well, and so that makes it hard.
And that's the age-old thing that anybody who trains any kind of horse will tell you about clients is very rarely do you have good clients. You either have the clients who don't understand, the clients who are up your butt, or clients who won't pay their invoice on time. And that was the number one thing that made me stop riding horses for money. Is it's the inconsistency. So if you can actually take that and make it work and then transition it to anything, you're a rare person to be able to thrive in that environment.
Yeah. And it didn't take me very long to realize, like, this is not how I want to make a living.
Right.
And so I haven't rode an outside horse, and unless it just be like a favor to somebody that I know it's a great horse or, whatever. I haven't rode an outside horse and been able to make it work financially by not doing that. I figured out pretty quick that I was better off doing clinics, schools, lessons, and training my own horses. And as long as I can survive through the period of not the monthly paycheck,
right,
that by the time I pick the horse that I want, train that horse, I'll make more money on the end game of it than I would riding a month to month on the horses that, I don't want to ride.
Because by the time you put in your time, the riding, the feed, the vet bills, the headaches, because, I mean, as you know, sometimes a horse gets hurt and you have to take care of that because you can't get hold. I mean, it's a brutal thing. You're not even breaking even, really, if you break down the numbers. Yeah, and at my stage in the game, I mean, I'm almost 40 years old. I've got kids. I've got a family. I don't want to have to, if there's something that's going on and I don't want to ride my horse for 2 days or 3 days, or I need to go to the rodeo or I need to take off, I don't have to like tell a customer, hey, I'm not going to ride this horse, or I'm, or feel guilty because I didn't ride that horse. I don't have to ride it if I don't need to, which doesn't happen a lot, but because I feel guilty if I don't ride home, but it happens, so, and I feel like there's only so many horses that I'm going to get trained in a year. And so I'd rather them be working towards my stuff, whether it be that it's a head horse that's either going to work for me or work for Charlie or work for my stepdaughter, or it's going to be a heel horse because I've sold one of my good heel horses and then I just haven't really replaced it, or it's going to be a breakaway horse that replaces my, first or second string. So I can train enough just for our household, to bring up and continue on with that spends all my time. Right. And there's only so many you're going to get trained. So I'd rather train ours. Were your parents horse trainers?
My dad roped a lot when I was younger, but my mom trained a lot of horses. Yeah. She trained a lot of horses, a lot of barrel horses, some rope horses. I just watched the barrel horse part of it, but with her, but yeah.
So you kind of got to live in that feast or famine lifestyle for a little bit as a kid?
Yeah. My mom she trained some horses, and then she was actually the outrider at Fairmount Park in St. Louis at the racetrack for years.
That's a brutal job.
Yeah. So
you spent a lot of years on the racetrack?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was a racetrack kid.
Really?
Racetrack rat. Yeah. That was me.
Yeah, we did that a lot.
Yeah. Sneaking into the ice trucks, making little pop snow cones and stuff. Yeah.
Sleeping in the tack rooms.
Yeah.
Not fun. My dad went through a long period where he was obsessed with putting every 2-year-old on the track.
Oh gosh.
And so we were just at I think it's called Arapahoe Park in Colorado. God, the worst summers of my life were spent at the racetrack. Because it's not, quarter horse racing is not even that exciting to me.
Really?
To watch. I mean, it's exciting, but it's just like, it's not like rodeo, right?
Yeah.
It's just, the environment's different. The people are different. You're super isolated from what's going on unless you go down for the picture or whatever.
Right.
It's just a different environment.
See, and I grew up around thoroughbred racing.
Oh,
that's
different.
yeah, it was different, but I mean, it's the same really. But I mean, then when we lived in Oklahoma, there was a racetrack called Blue Ribbon Downs. Since then, it's closed down since then. But I would, from the time I was old enough, would go clean stalls there in the morning for all the trainers and stuff. And then once I had a guy that would pick me up, take me, go clean stalls for a few of them. And then once I turned 16, I got my pony license. So I would go pony in the mornings. And then if I could get races, but it's kind of cliquey to get races, but if I could get races, I would go pony during the races. And then once I came back, the year I came back from college, the first summer I came back from college, I got a job waiting tables in the clubhouse, which I was terrible at. I was terrible. I was probably the worst waitress ever. But I worked in the clubhouse. And yeah, so I was around the racetrack my entire life.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's funny. There was a gal who came on our show. Her name was Sierra Dawn. She was on Survivor and all that, but she grew up on the racetrack too. And yeah, I don't know anybody who loved it as a kid, at least.
Yeah,
it's just so brutal.
It was.
Yeah, and if you ever had to exercise horses on the track, oh my God, they're so.
Oh, I had them try to kill me. Yeah. I mean, I did. I had them try to just get in the saddle with me. I thought they broke my thumb. I mean, I have scars on my arm from them. I mean, it's just crazy. And then the guys, my mom was totally against it, and she never would let me, but they wanted to tie the horses onto me hard and fast.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, because if they got loose. And she was like, no, if that's the case, you're not ponying. Because it's so dangerous, you know? I mean,
brutally dangerous, but those guys, those trainers, the owner, they do not care. They want their horses to run out, and that is literally it. It's a crazy environment.
It is a crazy. And you know, you say that. I don't want to tell you about it. I had some great experiences and people that I loved to death that I met through the track. You know, they were great time. You know, as a small kid, I actually had some great people that they started a cowboy church, or the Jockeys Club had a church on Sunday mornings, and all us kids would go, and it was fun, you know. And so there's a lot of good experiences through it, but it is a different. And yeah, there's scars all over my body just from ponying horses, which who knows? I probably wasn't great at it. I probably could have done better, but I don't know.
How good can you be at ponying on the track? You're literally at the mercy of 2 1,000-pound animals. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, we always ponied our own horses. You know, that was like one of the things we always did, is like, you pony the good horses. There were times where, because my dad was so into transitioning race horses from that to rodeo, that, you need a break?
Oh, no, I was going to ask you, what's ponying?
That's a good question. That's a good question for you, Ty.
As a person that is not educated on this.
So ponying is where you're riding one horse and you're holding on to another one to exercise that horse. So you're riding one, generally a lesser value horse, and you're ponying a higher value horse.
I see.
Basically.
Yeah, that's how they exercise them out there.
Yeah.
And then, so how would you get like scars from that?
Well, one, like those horses sit in a stall and they get fed like crazy. And so they want to jump out of their skin by the time that they hand them to you. So they'll rear up. I've had them rear up and get in the saddle with me. One jumped and then jumped forward and slammed my thumb against the saddle horn and just like basically hyperextended it. I have a scar on my elbow. I can't remember how that one happened, where it scraped the skin off of my arm on the right side, just from like trying to hold them, you know, the halter. I mean, there's a chain on them, you know, you got all sorts of stuff trying to hold these horses. And so it like scraped the skin off. I had one horse that I was kind of riding, a little bit smaller horse that I actually was like my practice breakaway horse. And this horse we were going the short route. So we were going around the track, you know, in the right, like to the right. So my left leg was against the rail. And this bigger racehorse, he just rammed me and just kept pushing me. But we were traveling, like we were loping. And so he just pushes me against the rail. Well, my leg, there's still an indention in the bone in my leg from where it hit the rail and just ran it up the rail.
Oh my God.
They're just crazy. There's just, yeah. And I mean, it just bled and it was just awful. Yeah. So there's all sorts of things that can go crazy when you have that much animal attached to you. You know?
Well, and they're so young on the racetrack, right? Mm-hmm. Like the mentality of a 2-year-old fraternity racehorse, it's just like they're babies and they're full of testosterone and they're not broke really all that well. So it's not an easy job.
Yeah, no, it wasn't, but it got us through.
Look at you now.
It got us.
Now you get to ride broke horses and rope.
That's where I actually got some of my first, like, we would buy horses that wouldn't make it on the track. And so my mom did that a lot and made them into barrel horses and sold them. And then we got one off of the track, and that ended up being my first head horse, and trained it and sold it. And so it ended up getting some good contacts and good horses off of there. But
Yeah. So when you were kind of growing up, you probably didn't have a ton of like rodeo contacts to get a lot of help and all that. You kind of go out and just make your own relationships. Is that how it worked?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and thank goodness that people were good to me and helped me so much, because I mean, I never owned my own arena until I was married, until I was 30-something years old. We didn't have that. And so like, when I was younger, we had a arena we barrel raced in when we were in Illinois, but as far as like to rope in and stuff, I had to rely on people to help, and they would. And so everybody just let me come rope and help me and kind of, just coach you along. And I tried to take tips from everyone. And so thank goodness for all those people.
Yeah. You don't get that. And again, this is one of those silly things we say on like every podcast, but you have a different conversation with different people, and it's like, it just comes up, but you just don't get that in anything but rodeo.
Yeah.
Where people will just help you or try to help you succeed. And I mean, if you think about it, it's like you let somebody come to your house, bring their horses, park it at your place, and rope your calves whenever they want to. It sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it really everyone does. If you want to rope, somebody will help you rope. Because that's one of the excuses people make, right? And I've made this excuse before myself. Like, well, I don't have anywhere I can go rope a calf right now, right? It's like, that's not true. If you have the balls to just call somebody, I don't think anybody's ever said no.
Well, and it's not only that. Now, there's like, I'm not going to lie, there's some people that I will avoid that come back to my house, because I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this is crazy. Because that's one thing I'm so grateful that my mom did such a good job of, is that I knew when I got the opportunity to go somewhere, the first thing I do is jump out there, you turn out calves for them, you rake the box, you pick up around their plate. Like you better make their day easier by showing up. Because they have a lot of money in those calves. They have a lot of money in that arena. They have a lot of money, and they're giving you an opportunity. So it's not just, oh, can I come rope? And you show up and rope. No, you make sure that when that person gives you that opportunity, you make their day better in some way, or faster, or save them time, or whatever, and make yourself welcome back, And so I'm so grateful that I have that, because now that we have our own place, totally get it. I totally get it. There's some people that I will bend over backwards to make sure that they get the chance to do the things that I had, and so, but it makes a huge difference. And I think some people don't realize that people are busy, you know what I mean? They are busy. And so when they give you that opportunity, make sure that you show you appreciate it,
Yeah. I mean, people are, and that's the issue, right? Like everybody has this mindset that everything's about them in one way or another, that everybody's thinking about them, or it's like so the opposite in life.
Yeah.
No one's thinking about you. No one cares what you're doing. And if somebody's kind enough to answer your phone call or say, sure, come on down, I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But that's the misconception that like every person's so self-absorbed, they don't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
And you see it in rodeo. I mean, you see it leaving rodeos. People will leave their crap everywhere.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Oh, I kind of like getting you started.
I have posted about this. I have Snapchatted about this. It runs me freaking nuts to watch rigs pull in and out of places. I mean, it is like my pet peeve. There's a place that all of us stop on the way to Vegas. There's a few of those fairgrounds throughout Arizona, New Mexico, whatever, that leave their gates open, which is awesome. We need to let our horses out. We need places to stop with our horses. And I'm so grateful that they do that. I pulled in and watched a rig leave out, and I pull in and I can see where I guarantee you 20 trailers have pulled in there. Don't try to get out of the way. You can pull over here out of the way where no one would ever know. They have trash cans set up. They have everything that you need. You can go up, free pins, free water, there's even a plug-in right there. No one monitors. And it's like, hey, have at it. People have cleaned their trailers out, not even trying to like spread the pile out. Don't try to like, hey, back your trailer somewhere into the grass. Just kicked out. There was dirty diapers kicked out, hay strings everywhere. And it's just like, you have got to be kidding me. I was so mad that I posted about it, and it was this big uproar, which, when you get mad, then you post on Facebook and blah, blah.
Yeah, that's how you do it now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it is just so ridiculous, because I'm like, before long, they're all going to start shutting their gates, because you can't even, there's a trash can right there. Mm-hmm. Like that is my definition of cowboy white trash. Like it is. Like you can't just put it in the trash can or just make just an effort, just any effort. I watched it, Killdeer, North Dakota, during the 4th of July. I sat there and I could name names, but I'm not going to name names, okay? I sat there and watched these people back their truck, literally kick water bottles out of their trailer door, out of the living quarters, where there was already, they had left all their trash, probably 15 water bottles and just crap, just everywhere. Back up, and Killdeer, it is like the nicest community. They put on a great rodeo. They're so nice. They let you the big open field for your horse, whatever. They back out, crush the water bottles, back alert, and just pull out. And I'm just like, how hard, like really, how hard is it to just try to make it where it's not such an inconvenience when we leave here?
Well, and that's the thing, right? These rodeo committees and these rodeo associations in these towns, those people work so hard.
Oh my gosh.
So we were just in Darby, Montana last weekend for the Yellowstone Riggin' Rally deal, the bareback riding. We were invited to do shows up there. Mm-hmm. And so we packed up, took our whole deal on the road, which was a pain in the ass. I don't want to do that again. But getting through the airports with like all this stuff.
Oh, I can imagine.
It's just unbelievable. They stop you every step of the way. But we get there and we get set up and all that. And this rodeo committee, these people who work for this rodeo association help us with everything. Like we didn't barely have to touch any of our equipment. They were just so happy to help with the whole thing. They were so happy that we came to their small rodeo, that everybody was there to do this, that they literally did all the work for us and they wouldn't take no for an answer. This weather comes in, it starts pouring down rain, it's sleeting and snowing, it goes from 90 one day to like 30 the other, and the water's crazy and high. And so we had to move from one location to like this tin barn with extension cords to make it all happen. They busted their butt to help us, and it just shows like you need to have more okay, they may not be famous cowboys, they may just be the people who live in that town, but they appreciate those events so much.
Yeah. And
they'll do anything they can for any person who's there. Why do that?
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's so crazy. Those people all of them are working for free. I don't know any committee member that gets paid to do these things, and they bust their butt. And you know how bad it is, how hard it is to go ask for money. I hate that. You know what I mean? And These people do it, and it's all money to go in your pocket. Just show some respect. That's all it is. Just show some respect and show some character in yourself to pick your stinking trash up or be respectful to the committee guy. It doesn't take that much, and it's just I think some people get so and it's everywhere. It's not just rodeo people, but I think people in general get so entitled. And it's like, dude, they are doing this for free. They're doing it literally. They don't benefit in any way. They're doing it for you and to have a rodeo, a good rodeo, and it pay good. And it's like, one time my husband and I, he talks about gate guys, and I'm like, these gate guys are just volunteers, and they're just following the rules that we're told from someone down the deal. And you can only imagine that by the time you pull up, how many freaking cowboys or girls have freaking jumped down their throat because they're pissed they can't park where they want to park or they want to do this. And then, by the time you pull up, they're kind of snappy. But can you blame them? Would you like to have that job,
Right.
So we pulled into Fort Worth one time, and there was this gal out there, and, it's $15 a park or $25 a park, and they were making us park way over here. Well, he just, which it is, whatever, it's ridiculous. Well, he kind of he's like, are you kidding me? Like, you got to pay this to park way out there, and he kind of says something, and we pull off, and I look at him, and I'm like, you think that money's going in her pocket? And I kind of give him this guilt trip.
Right.
He goes and parks the rig, I promise you, half a mile from this lady, has to get out because he feels so guilty, and he walks all the way back down, and he goes and apologizes to that lady. And I was like, good, I'm glad you did that, because it's not her, but she's not making the rules, what I mean? That money is not her money, so don't be rude to the people that are just either, number one, she's trying to make a living, or they're doing it for free.
Right.
So
yeah, they just want to make rodeo good. That's the thing that
they're the reason you're out here.
Every sport or things can have prima donnas. It's always going to be a thing. But yeah, I mean, that's probably the best thing about people like you is having the foresight to think about other people. And that's how it's supposed to be in our industry, right? That's how the cowboy way is supposed to be. It's
supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
So it's good that you're out there chest beating and telling people to clean up their shit.
I'm sure you get, of course, when you do that, then you get your backlash from it, and whatever. It is what it is. Like I said, there's social media again. You're
Yeah.
going to get your backlash. They couldn't backlash you if there wasn't social media.
At least you could sleep well at night knowing that you helped
I tried.
make
You know
the
what I
world
mean?
a cleaner place.
There you go.
Well, Jack, you've kind of had a long day. You were at the Cowboy Channel, then you were here, and actually, pretty fun. You'll have to come back another time and do this again.
I'd love to.
After the pregnancy.
Oh, yeah.
When you can have a drink.
Yes.
By the way, I'm
So
really...
about March, last week of March, pencil me in.
Done
That
deal.
came on.
I'm really glad, though, that I didn't have to carry the weight of that burden of you drinking while you were pregnant. I don't think I could do that. I think I'd have to tell people.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you didn't put me in that position.
Yeah. No, I went ahead and announced it before I came over here. Helped you out.
That does help, because I don't think my weak emotions could handle a pregnant lady drinking in front of me.
No.
Well, congratulations on the pregnancy, the
Thank you.
announcement. Did you find out the sex yet?
No, I did take the blood test. It should be back pretty soon, and I got my fellow breakaway ropers have all sorts of big plans for a gender reveal, so they're handling it.
I bet they do.
Yeah, no telling. We are kind of the bulldoggers of the women's side of things.
You
and
guys
so,
really are
I know.
close. Yeah, it's funny. JJ was in here, and she had told some story about you guys doing. I don't even remember what it was. It was just something where I was like, yeah, the breakaway ropers are a different group.
Yeah, we really are. Yeah, and that's what it's funny, because some of the barrel racers will mention that they're like, all you guys are friends. Like you're like it's kind of like we do. We're fun. We like to have fun, And so it is a different group of girls.
You think it's because you guys have just been going in your own way for so long that?
I guess. And like I said, it's kind of it's fun to like experience this with each other, because every one of us is making a difference right now in where this deal's going.
Right.
And so we're kind of all on a team, and we're behind each other because we're growing this together, you know? And so there is a lot of camaraderie and stuff through that. Yeah.
Yeah, because the backside of barrel racing is much darker.
The dark side.
There is some darkness back there. But I'm glad breakaway's not tainted yet.
Oh yeah. Well, everybody's got their things. There are some. There are some in there. They haven't reared their ugly heads too much yet where you guys can see it.
Well, let's hope they're not actually ugly, because that'd be mean.
No, not like actually, well, whatever. Yeah.
I think that's probably the best time to end the show.
Yeah.
Before Jackie gets on another one, and then she accidentally calls one of her fellow
Yeah.
breakaway ropers ugly. That's not right.
No, I would not.
Not out loud.
No, they're fixing to have so much ammo on me when I weigh like 400 pounds having this baby. And
How long you
snap
think
a
you're?
picture and be like, oh.
Are you gonna go like 8.5 months before you decide to stop getting on horses?
No, I am going to. I went about 5.5 months with Creed, so I'm going to try to go mid-November, 1st of December. We'll see.
Did it put some wrench in your plans? I know I said we were gonna end this, but now I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think there's a good time to have a child right now with the rodeo industry. I mean, when do you ever? Yeah. And so, at any time, I'm going to be missing big things. So, yeah, it kind of sucks because Fort Worth's out, American's out, which I really wanted to be on a streak with that, but oh well, bigger, better things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It'll be fun. You can put a baby in a bucket and then go rope next year.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's how I'm saying that, because that's something that happened to me at a lot of pro rodeos. I got put in a bucket at the trailer. It was a different world when I was a baby.
I think I've tied mine to the fence a couple times.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents didn't stop. They're like, okay, you're a baby, you're going. I don't even know how serious car seats were like in the 90s, but.
I won my first rodeo back 2 weeks after I had him.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my mom did something crazy like that too. She was like, I think she still had stitches and she was going and going to pro rodeos.
You do what you got to do.
Rodeo moms are crazy.
Tough.
This has been The Gauge, hosted by me, Chance Conrado, produced and edited by our guy Ty Yeager. Shout out to the executive producers Dustin Pointer and Cody Denton. Marketing and content by Cassie Emerson. Our theme song is by Shay Ashshire and the Night Howlers. Make sure to rate and review this podcast, as well as follow The Gauge on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And make sure to subscribe to The Gauge wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you guys next time.